our civic duties. How's it different from rights and responsibilities? We're going to look at the last of our three big words in this pod. Remember, our words are rights, duties, and responsibilities. This one's going to be about duties. So what we're going to look at here is how duties are different from rights and responsibilities. So a duty is something that you have to do or you'll get in trouble. So a civic duty is usually something that if you don't do it, there'll be consequences in some way. Like you'll go to jail, or there'll be a fine, or you might lose property, something like that. We'll go through what those civic duties are in the next few slides. So again, why are we doing this? We're trying to figure out or learn more about what's expected of us as U.S. citizens. It's important to know our rights. We already did that. It's important to understand how our responsibilities help our society on all those levels that we've talked about. But it's also important for you guys to understand what's expected of you by the law, the things that we have to do as U.S. citizens. So we're going to look at those, go through some main examples, and by the end you should kind of see what the difference between all three of these things are: rights, responsibilities, and duties. So let's go through those things. We're going to call them legal duties because they're things that you have to do. We all belong to different types of communities: our neighborhood, our town, our school, church, state, country. And as community members, we all have responsibilities, things that we should do but don't necessarily have to. And we do those voluntarily. That's why they're responsibilities, because we choose to do them but we don't necessarily have to. Difference with duties is we have to do them. We are required to do these things that we call duties. We have to fulfill them at all levels, or else we might face fines or imprisonment. And there's actually not that many of them. We'll go through some of them right now. Most of them you probably do on a daily basis and don't even realize. So what are they? The legal rules, the things that we have to do, the duties of a citizen. You have to obey society's laws. You have to defend the nation against threats to peace and security, and we'll go through each one of these in the next few slides. You have to serve in a jury or as a witness in court. You got to pay taxes, and you have to attend school. 5 things. Those are the main things. Are there more than that? Yeah, but these are the big 5 categories of things that you have to do as a U.S. citizen. Let's go through them a little bit. First one is, let me fix this for you. There we go. The first one is to obey the law. Laws are not there to stop us or like constrict us in some way. They're supposed to be there to protect us. So the reason that we have laws is to make our society better and to make it safer. We don't have laws against selling drugs because the government doesn't want us to sell drugs. It's about all the things that come with drugs. The violence that can come up and the effects of using them and things like that. So that's in place to keep us safe and to keep our society functioning better. It's not there to bring us down or hurt us in some way. It's there to keep us all safe. The other thing you have to do is pay taxes. Nothing's free. And a lot of the things that we have in our society are paid for by taxes. We've talked about that before. Police, roads, having a military, being able to go to school, like the laptop you're on right now, like we talked about before. Taxes pay for part or all of those things. So that's why I was an example of laws, like things that you have to obey and follow. Laws and taxes. It's important for us to do that. If we don't have that, imagine what our society would be like. Imagine if we just didn't make people follow the law, or we didn't have laws at all. Imagine what our society would be like. I don't think it would be very good. The next thing is taxes. Why do we do it? Like we talked about before. If you don't have taxes, we don't have some of those basic things that the government contributes to us in our society and our communities. Like electricity lines and gas and water supply and telephones And the roads that we talked about, police, firefighters, all that's paid for by taxes. If we don't have taxes, we don't have those things. The government can't provide them to us. Let's go through some other ones. Defending the nation. In the U.S., if you're a guy and you're between the age of 18 and 25, you have to register with the government in case the country needs to draft or call out men for military service. Today, military service is voluntary. So you don't have to join the military, but if the government wanted to, they could bring up what's called a draft, which means they will call on certain individuals to serve in the military. You might be saying to yourself, that's crazy. If that ever happens to me, I'm not going. It's something that you have to do. It is a duty that's required by law. You might be saying to yourself too, does this ever happen? It's happened before, but it hasn't happened for a very long time. It hasn't happened since the Vietnam War. And before that, it was World War II. So it hasn't happened all that, or no, Korea, I messed that up, and then World War II. It hasn't happened all that often. But the idea behind that is if there's ever an overwhelming need for soldiers, that the country can have a draft and fill the military with soldiers. What's the likelihood of that happening? Not very good. The last time that they did that was during a very unpopular war, a war that wasn't popular with a lot of people, and a lot of people didn't like the draft. So in order for the country to actually use a draft, there'd have to be a very, 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 very strong concern that would be needed to do it. The other thing that you have to do is you have to serve in court. What does that mean? If you're called to be a witness at a trial, you have to go. If you're called to serve on a jury, you have to go. These are two things that are duties in our society and that you have to do. The duty that you guys fulfill every day is attending school. Most states require young people to attend school until the age of 16. The idea behind that is, imagine if they didn't make school mandatory. How many people just wouldn't go to school? The idea behind that is having that duty in place to make sure that people are going to school, because if it was up to a lot of kids, they just wouldn't go. So the idea behind that is to keep kids in school at least until the age of 16 and help them work through at least a high school diploma. Now, sometimes you might hear the phrase civic duty. What does that mean? Fulfilling your civic duty means doing all of the things that we've talked about during this pod, especially the responsibilities and the duties. So fulfilling your civic duty is doing all the things that you're supposed to do to make yourself a good citizen. Staying informed, following all those duties, not breaking the law, helping people when you need to. That's you doing your civic duty. So why does all that matter? Imagine if we just had a society of people who just didn't care, didn't help each other, didn't follow laws, didn't pay taxes, didn't do all of these things. And just think about what that society would be like. It's important for us all to perform civic duties and just be good citizens, because if we didn't have that, just think about what society would be like. So don't forget to answer the questions that are underneath this video. Join us for class on Tuesday and Thursday. If you have questions or need help, please contact me. My information's right there. If not, good luck.